Hello, this is Morteza Rahimi presenting assignment number 2 for ACIT 4640 in the semester of winter 2024. This assignment has two main components, one utilizing Terraform, the other Ansible. With Terraform, we are creating an AWS infrastructure that has two public EC2 instances that are using two different availability zones, both accessible using HTTP and SSH from anywhere. And then using Ansible, we are going to clone a repository of a web application that was provided to us. We are going to install Caddy, and Bun, and we are going to sort of establish and configure the service files to be running. Okay, beginning with Terraform, let's take a look at the configuration files. There was two things that we wanted to do differently this go around compared to assignment number 1. One is that we wanted to utilize modules specifically for EC2 instances. Modules are similar to utilizing functions in coding, is to be able to reuse specific resources that do specific things. So for example, if we want to make multiple EC2 instances, we can have the one EC2 module and call it multiple times. The other thing is we wanted to have a variable sort of separated from the main Terraform file itself, which is, again, another best practice of being able to reuse code and also quickly make changes in one spot for configuration rather than throughout your whole code base. So we have our main.tf file here, but before that we have our variables that we reference in the main.tf file. Stuff like project name have defaults, instance count, however, the number of instances that we want to create, the region we want to create in the CIDR blocks, availability zones, instance type, so on and so forth. These are then, like I said, referenced in the main.tf file to create a project, create a VPC, create subnets dynamically using the count, create a gateway, route table, connect all the subnets to the route table, and then make the public security group so that you can access from anywhere using SSH and HTTP. Next, we set up our local SSH key and paired with the AWS key. And finally, we get the most recent AWS Ubuntu 23.04 image. And we send all of that to our EC2 module that we talked about earlier. Like I said, the subnets, we're sending a list so that, because each subnet is set up with a different availability zone, and that way the EC2 instances will each be on different availability zones. And on this end, this is the main.tf for the module, and we see it has variables, but it's sort of getting the variables as inputs. If it doesn't, it has defaults, and it is dynamic in that it's sort of going through every single subnet and creating instances for each. It will then sort of output the IPs and the DNSs for the instances it creates that are then sort of captured here and will be printed out. So let's go ahead and run this. And once the backend is initialized, we can do Terraform plan, which lets us see what resources we are about to add or modify. And as we see, we have 13 new resources that we are adding. We're changing nothing and destroying nothing. So let's go ahead and actually apply this. And I'll pause the video here and come back when it's all done. I don't know how to pause this one. Maybe I'll take this moment to go over all the pain I've had the last 4 hours trying to record. I finally jumped to Linux, and the built-in screen capture wasn't doing it, so I installed one, but then the video, every time I recorded, it wouldn't stop recording. So then I installed another one, had a similar issue or another issue where it would crash. I've gone through 5 or 6 applications at this point, and I've been recording this video for the last 4 hours. This last one, seems to be working. I tested it, but we'll see. So we have our 2 public instances created. Let's now move on to the Ansible portion of this, where I wanted to be able to dynamically get access to the instances that we create so that we don't have to hard code it each time, because they will change. And so I'm using the plugin AWS_EC2, and that way I can query for the region and the tag and be able to sort of capture it. In this way, if in the future we make any changes, for example, we do 3 instances or 4 instances, they'll all be still captured, and there'll be nothing different that I need to do on this side. So they all sort of get captured as a host called AWS_EC2, which we'll reference for all of our plays in our playbook. The first of which is to create the bun user, which we wanted to use to install bun and run our application. And we want to then clone our repository, install bun itself and the required packages that it requires, and install caddy. And then we wanted to copy over the caddy file to replace the default, and we wanted to copy over the service file and to run our application. So if we go ahead and do this, we run our playbook, we feed it the other YAML file that queries for our EC2 instances, and we can let it run through all the tasks and all the play. And we wanted to sort of design the plays to each accomplish a given logical task. Like I said, configure the user, clone the repository, install bun, install caddy. So that about captures the aims of this assignment. We wanted to be able to use both Terraform and Ansible to quickly spin up an infrastructure and configure it in the way that we want, and sort of get the files that we want on there. Much faster to do and easier to do than recording a video for me today. That is why this is going to be submitted about 3 hours late. Hopefully that's okay. But thank you very much. I'm going to hit stop record, and hopefully it stops recording.